Guess who's back? Your podcast boys are back. Let's go. It's Mr. Young.
And it's for in the building doing
No,
the EO Sky
No,
emote.
I cannot.
you cannot.
I still think it's ridiculous. But I see people doing it, so respect. She got that thing over. I think it looks ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know what's ridiculous, bro? What's ridiculous?
That?
The fact that we've been away for 3 weeks. The guys, the peeps have been missing us, bro.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching the podcast, watching the show. We're recording this on a Sunday night, actually. And yes, I've been away right after WrestleMania. It's been crazy, right? So I went away. I took a vacation in Seoul for a bit. For those of you who have been following me on my Instagram, you all know lah. I went to Seoul for a bit. Then after that, I came back to Singapore for 2 days and then went to Bali for both an acro yoga retreat as well as just to relax.
Yeah, so that's like about a 3 week span where you've been vibings, bro. I'm happy for you.
Know. Absolute vibes.
You got to deconnect or disconnect. Is that the word? Yeah,
disconnect and decompress. You combine the two, bro.
I put deconnect, bro.
Deconnect. Okay. Well,
right.
you know, we all need that once in a while. And even if it's just to disconnect from wrestling, I think I picked a very good time to disconnect from wrestling. Not gonna lie, because I don't know if you feel the same way. Okay, so I feel like we're in a very interesting situation right now. For the past 3 weeks, I have felt like a casual fan. Like the rest of everybody else out there, where I am not locked in and watching everything on Raw, everything on SmackDown, everything on NXT. But the feeling I'm getting as I sort of ease my way back in is that Macham didn't miss much like that. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but maybe this is credit to the WWE in that most of their shows, they do a good job of catching me up. And after WrestleMania, it's more of we're setting up for new things, so there's nothing major that's happening right now. Does it feel that way to you as well, as someone who has been watching it consistently?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I felt like, especially after the not so good WrestleMania that we had this year, I think WWE is kind of trying to figure out, okay, now we got to move past that. Let's try to set up and try to rejig their roster a bit to start new storylines. So I think if you are a long-time fan, you can kind of know there's always the post-WrestleMania slump, right?
Yes.
It's just that the product has been so hot the last couple of years, especially with the bloodline, that there wasn't that much of a dip. I think this year's dip is more pronounced because we have new players kind of in the main event scene, right? John Cena is doing his thing. And also on the Raw side, we have a probably new faction as well. So so many new things that you're trying to get used to.
Talking about John Cena doing his thing, and I want to get your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah.
Because I get the feeling that it is a nostalgia act that has been tainted by a certain final boss. And I want to really sort of dive into that in just a few seconds. But before we do that, we got to give a big shout out to the one and only Hasif.
Yo,
there's our guy, our sponsor for the podcast. We always got to shout him out because he shows us so much love as it relates to him supporting us doing what we love. Like, he loves the fact that we are so passionate about this pro wrestling thing, like all of you watching and listening in right now, right?
Yeah, for sure. And he's the reason the lights are still on while we've been away, and shout out to him as well, for he has been supporting us since last year, and he wanted to kind of support us over the long term this season as well. Great guy. If you ever want to talk to him about entrepreneurship, talk about business, talk about financial planning, you just drop him a DM. And all of you guys, if you haven't followed him on Instagram, you should, because his content is almost as entertaining as Kick to the Guts content as well. So
absolutely,
yes, show him a follow.
He is like a bro of many levels. The finance bro, fitness bro, entrepreneurship bro, the Tay bro. You want to have Tay with Hasif? Can just reach out to him on Instagram. Drop him a follow. That's the first step, okay? Hasif_captures on Instagram. That's HASIF_captures on Instagram. Do us a favor, follow him.
Yeah, man, and please check out for more content from his side as well. And he'll quite possibly do more content with us this year as well. So follow him there for all the deets, bro.
Absolutely. Exciting stuff. Okay, now let's talk about John Cena, Randy Orton. Randy carried that match at Backlash, right? We won't go through everything that we missed on Backlash, but this being the main event.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of what Cena is doing right now is sort of that nostalgia act. I don't necessarily say that in a bad way, because watching them go and they actually wrestled, which was kind of crazy. Like, did you hear the crowds pop for like an eye poke? You know, like it's stuff like that. Like, okay, these are guys you want to call it a throwback to that era of wrestling, sure, but they are actually doing the wrestling thing, which I really appreciated, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
I feel like this match kind of they were at their peak for a certain period in
yes,
time, but now it's almost as if like Randy has maintained that peak.
yes, but Cena has
Cena's
slipped.
on the calm down. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but even with that, I would say this is actually one of their better matches.
Oh, for
I
sure,
would say.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because so much more is at stake. The roles have been flipped around. But there's a part of me that's like, it feels like a farewell tour nostalgia act. And there's this part of me that's like, okay, I see what he's doing. Like I don't know. It's not as fresh and exciting as, say, Cody finishing the story or the Bloodline. Like, I don't know if they say comparison is the stealer of joy, right? But the past 2 years we've been eating so good. Is that why I feel a little bit like with this whole John Cena run? Or is it also because a certain final boss kind of came in and basically, I mean, there's a lot that's been said about him not even being necessary in this John Cena turn, right?
Okay, maybe I'll pose this question to you.
Sure.
Has the heel run been a bust so far?
I wouldn't say it's been a bust. I feel like they made several missteps leading up to it because the event of him turning heel was already a big deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that, now with The Rock, then when is Rock going to get his comeuppance? Oh, actually, he's not going to be involved. Then it's like he didn't need to be there.
Yeah, I think the follow-up has been bungled. Okay, so my thoughts is very simple, right? It was a great heel turn, but the heel run has not lived up to our expectations.
Yes.
Maybe it was very lofty expectations,
Also,
but it has not lived up. Yeah.
If you think about it, right, The Rock being involved as the final boss makes Cena, for lack of a better term, look like a bitch. Like, he's turning because of somebody, because of the big Rock, the bad guy, where John Cena himself should be the big bad guy. Now you know that he's not really the big bad guy because there's somebody on top of him.
Yeah, again, you make him like the sidekick, right? Sidekick, like the side boss as opposed to the final boss.
Yes.
And I think also another issue with it was like when he turned heel, he looked so good as like that Winter Soldier emotionless guy.
Yeah.
They went a different route where he was blaming the fans, like your toxic relationship, which I thought was a good initial reason, but he had to progress beyond that. Like the whole story of him like being the last real champion, I'm gonna ruin wrestling for you. It does not feel like a natural, like John Cena is playing the role of a heel as opposed to him embracing being a heel. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. That said, what they are doing next, I think might be the tipping point of him truly becoming now a heel. And we called it like quite early on. People on our Discord were saying like, he needs to have a match with R-Truth.
Yes.
And in this match against this guy, like, look, R-Truth is one of those guys. He's a joke character, a comedy character, but we love him because he's so hilarious. He makes us laugh, right?
Yep.
And what better way for John Cena to ruin wrestling than to be the guy that takes away the laughter? He's gonna be the guy that absolutely mauls R-Truth. Look, we know R-Truth not gonna win. And we'll preview Saturday night's main event in just a little while. But this is the right match. This is the match that John Cena needed to have, I feel.
Yeah, I felt like, there was always going to be dream matches. But in terms of a storyline that makes sense in his current heel run, of course you got to go after the guy who is like delusional in his support for him. And then suddenly you really beat him down so bad. Like how remember Triple H beat down William Regal so bad that he turned Eugene into this like super sympathetic babyface. Yes. I think that's what's going to happen. And that's what's got to happen. Like Cena needs to like destroy R-Truth to the point that this guy is fucked up. We need to get him out of wrestling, right?
We need to boo him, no more cheering for him because he just decimated R-Truth. That absolutely needs to happen. So that's my thoughts on this coming back. So what else stood out to me?
Do you want to talk about what you think of Seth Rollins' new faction that they're building?
I like it. It makes a lot of sense that they have Braun Breaker in there, who we all know from the start he's pegged for greatness, right? And him being there, learning from Paul Heyman, learning from Seth Rollins can only do good for him. Can only be good things for him.
I feel like this run right now, I guess Seth Rollins is established as the full heel. I think this is his Triple H the game run. What I mean by that was I always felt like Seth Rollins was always like A plus or like A part one of like the main guy, right? Which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Roman
yeah,
Reigns, right?
yeah.
But I think this is WWE committing to like, okay, let's
Mm.
make Seth Rollins the top guy. He might not be the top babyface because
Yep.
you have so many people doing that part. Let's make him the top heel, which is exactly what Triple H did because he couldn't be the number one babyface when Stone Cold and The Rock was around. He
Yes.
had to play the top heel.
So, him being the top heel, when does he win the title from Jay? Because that we kind of know. Like, look, we all love Jay, but we all know he's the Kofi Kingston. He's the Daniel Bryan. He's gonna win the championship for that great moment, but he has to drop it at some point. And I don't see anybody else taking away from him. Yes, you got Gunther, but Gunther's sort of doing side quest stuff right now.
Yep.
By the way, the Gunther Pat McAfee match went on a little bit long. I felt.
Yeah,
At
not
Backlash.
not a fan of Pat suddenly getting so much offense in Gunther.
Yeah.
Gunther needed to destroy him.
I mean, okay, so there were moments where like Gunther got cocky. So that's how you do these matches, right?
Yeah,
The
that's
dominant
fine.
heel gets cocky. That's where Pat McAfee, makes his comeback. Michael Cole even helps him. But there were a few moments where I thought, okay, just this is the end already. Gunther just chop him one time, F him up, and then that's it, right?
Yeah,
It went a bit long.
Yeah, it went a bit long. But back to your point on Jay and with Seth, right? I like the story that okay, you're gonna put Seth as a heel. You gotta have his faction around him. Now let's build up the baby face, like really establish what the Raw baby face is. So of course, Jay also yes, he is the champion. He's a bit of an underdog, but he's like the main focal point.
Yep.
Even to the point that when CM Punk returned and did the promo this past week on Raw, it was Jay saving CM Punk, right?
Yeah.
So you got CM Punk, you got Sami Zayn, and you
Yes.
got Jay Uso on the babyface side, but I don't think that's for long.
Okay, so I've seen the rumors that everyone thinks Sami Zayn will turn and join Paul.
Do well because of the connection with with Seth Rollins, and also because that historically Sami Zayn was always against CM Punk, right? And the fact that if he were to turn heel, he already has that dynamic of that brotherhood with Jey Uso, so it will even be more heartbreaking. But I'm only against it because we've already seen Sami Zayn do the whole heel run with the bloodline, so this will be like a cheap version of it, Timu version of it, right?
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. I don't think he should do this. I think maybe they should give that spot to somebody else. Like, let somebody else have a run with it. Because, yeah, we've seen Sami Zayn do it. Was he going to be the cute guy, try to be their best friend again, try to be Sami Uso? Like, I don't know. I think he's past that already.
Yep. I mean, I'm curious to know what's the faction going to be called.
Yeah.
Maybe the Visionary Quest. I don't know, whatever. But I'm not going to even try. But you know who I would want to join them? I feel two people would make perfect sense, right?
Okay.
You should have somebody like an Austin Theory, right? You need somebody, okay, because I see Braun Breaker as who? I see Braun Breaker as Batista.
Oh, so you need the Randy?
You need a Randy. You need Austin. Because I think Austin Theory, and very recently he's been getting a lot of people trying to tell him to get away from Grayson Waller, right?
Yeah.
And like almost turning babyface. But I think he needs to kind of like swerve people and go back to being a very cocky heel with them.
Yeah.
And the second person I want them to be part of this is I think they need their Medusa.
Okay.
Paul Heyman has a dangerous alliance. Always have a female member who would be perfect. Seth Rollins' own wife.
Becky Lynch. Well, I mean, she did turn on Lyra.
Yep. She's already a heel, so might as well give her some clout. Make her the top heel, because right now, Raw does not have a top female heel, if you realize.
Oh yeah, true. Now Rhea and Io are like buddy. Okay, just very quickly, Rhea is in that spot. That dreaded spot of, okay, you've made your name already. We are not going to write a lot of like storylines around you. You're just going to be there because you're over. Yep. So she's in a weird. I'm not a big fan of the spot that she's in.
Yeah, but if she was having all these issues with Io and you have a very clear heel in like Becky Lynch, at least like there is some direction. Because I think right now she's floundering because there is no direction. They didn't pull the trigger on the Bianca and Rhea feud. I thought that was what they're gonna do post WrestleMania, but they don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like if you create that faction, that will be a very dangerous alliance on Raw that can be the
Yeah,
main heel
true.
stable.
So you got that heel stable, you got JCM, Sammy. I still feel Sammy should be face. Okay, Logan Paul is figured in, and I guess we can talk about the main event of Saturday night's main event, right? It's Jey
Yep.
Uso versus Logan Paul for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yep.
Logan Paul's not winning. Let's
Yeah,
be
for
real.
sure, for
I
sure.
mean, come on.
But the funny thing is, I thought that this match was gonna happen on Backlash, but this I think for the very last minute they push it down
Yeah.
to SNME. What do you think of Logan Paul's spot right now in WWE?
Well, as the celebrity guy who's sort of mixing it with the main eventers, I think it's fine.
Yeah, like
He's an attraction.
Yeah,
Is
I
what
think
it is.
that's what it is. He comes in and out to do like matches here and there, but I also feel like he's also kind of stuck in a bit of a treadmill.
Yeah.
Clearly Triple H doesn't want to push him to be the main guy yet,
Correct.
but he did say he wants to be a full timer. So where does that leave him? Should he go down to the mid card again with the IC?
I don't think he would want to, because the money. Why would he want to be, doing stuff with people who are not at the main event? You know who actually this kind of reminds me of? And law of diminishing returns. The more you bring back Logan Paul, the less impactful it will be, right?
Yep.
Ronda Rousey.
Mm.
I feel like it has sort of that similar, like, okay, this is a person famous from another place, comes in, is very athletically attuned to this sport, this business, right?
Yep.
So that's why they're immediately sort of mixing it up with the main event guys.
Yep. Agreed.
But after a while, because they're not around often enough, they don't have enough compelling stories or histories. And then you start to see the friction, and then it's like, okay, you bring it back. The more you bring it back, the more like, it's them again.
You know
sort
what
of
it
a
is? Logan Paul needs a storyline. And I'm not talking about like a one-off, okay, this one time he will build up for Jay.
Yeah.
No, I think he needs like a character growth. Like for example, like you've been that guy who is the the influencer and all that. Who is the guy that's gonna bring out the savagery in him?
Yes.
Right?
He needs that Triple H Cactus Jack moment. That moment,
Yes.
the
To prove his
stamp of
toughness.
approval. Yes. The
Correct,
problem is, I don't think, like, to your point, I don't think Triple H sees him as that guy who will be there all the time to put in the work. I mean, not to say he hasn't put in the work, but he's
You just have
busy
too
with
many
other
outside
things.
businesses, lah.
Yeah. So he will forever be, I feel, a slightly more involved Bad Bunny.
Yeah,
You know?
agree. But in this iteration of his character, do you think can he win a world title though?
He can, I think, for the shock value, to be honest. I think if he ever does, it would be for the
He can
the
do a
clicks.
miss. He can do
Yeah.
the miss.
Yeah. And then, but he would lose it pretty quickly, I feel. I don't think that's the direction that they're going. I feel like right now Jay is just going to have several side missions until he eventually loses it to Seth Rollins. Makes sense.
That being said, I think this might be a good match because
Yeah.
in the weeks that you weren't around, there was a Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso match, which was actually pretty good.
Seth doing all the work, bro. Seth carrying the load.
Well, I know, kind of, but Jay elevated his game. So I just don't know.
Okay.
I think somebody like Logan Paul, who is like a highlight reel, might force Jay to like, okay, I want to like step up and like try to be the ring general here. So we shall see. We shall see how the match will go.
So the other two matches on this Saturday night's main event, I mean, we alluded to John Cena versus R-Truth earlier. And I mean, again, not much else to say. Cena needs to absolutely decimate R-Truth so that he becomes truly the dastardly heel. And
Okay, so here's my question. He beats him out so bad that he gets destroyed. Who comes in to kind of like protect R-Truth or like kind of stand up to Cena?
Nobody. I don't know why. You're talking about like his next opponent, I guess.
Yeah, eventually to lead up to his next. So I got two theories, right?
Okay.
Money in the Bank is the next show.
Oh.
Is this the time to pull another nostalgia opponent in my guy, CM Punk?
So yes, I fully expect CM Punk versus John Cena at some point. It has to happen, right?
And what better way at the same PLE where they had like the match of the year, right?
Yeah.
Money in the Bank.
Okay.
That would be like my ideal, right? Would be perfect because I think him standing up for Archer also kind of makes sense as well. There's that element there. There's a connection there. But my question is, we have not seen one guy since WrestleMania, bro.
Who?
Since the main event of WrestleMania, he has not been around.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. No, so that was the other question I wanted to ask you, and I totally forgot because we started talking about other stuff. Has Cody been around?
No. Not
Okay.
a single thing about Cody.
Right. Okay. So, what happened to Cody Rhodes?
Okay,
Obviously,
so
okay,
here's
I feel like they're milking his absence for the big pop, the big return, right?
yeah, two people has been gone, right? You
Mm.
got Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
who
Oh,
has
yes.
been away, and you
Mhm.
have Cody Rhodes. So
Mm.
my question is, are they gonna save that Cody Rhodes return to finally like kind of reignite his feud with John Cena at all the way at SummerSlam? Because SummerSlam got
Mhm.
two nights, you know.
2 nights, yeah.
Or is Cody gonna come in now? But I feel like Cody is gonna be the guy that needs to win it back from John Cena eventually. And if he was to return too early, they might
Yeah.
hotshot that story. So I do not mind Cody not even appearing for the rest of the summer.
Okay, how do you justify that though? His feelings were so hurt he went off on a soul searching mission. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make
It's not
sense,
like he
right?
suffered some sort of like horrible injury. No, he just got kicked in the balls.
But of course, maybe the humiliation of
May-
him
Not
being
to
the
say
guy.
not to say that being kicked in the balls doesn't hurt or takes you off the shelf lah. He comes back with like oh yeah, I had bruised testicle.
No lah, I don't think it's a medical show. I think right,
No.
how they can play is like it's a crisis of confidence.
Sure.
That could be it, right? Like, he was
Yeah.
sitting in the shadows, like he maybe he felt he wasn't meant to be the top guy because
Mm.
he was put in a spot where he lost the top guy position to John Cena, and because
Yep.
of him, everything is ruined in wrestling. So it's really
Yep.
about maybe he needs to come back as like this kind of broken or man who's unsure of himself kind of situation.
Okay. Yeah.
But who's gonna be the one that pull him out of that funk,
Sure.
like his depression, you know?
I tell you who. Our
What?
truth. Bro,
Could be.
everything hinges on our truth.
Yeah, we shall see. But I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Do you think we'll get Cena versus Rusev? Now that Rusev is back.
Yeah. Your two guys are back. You got
Yeah.
Rusev Day and Alistair Black. What do you feel about them so far?
Okay, I like Rusev is sort of doing an offshoot of his Soldier of God or whatever Forsaken by God thing.
I
love his
love that
promos.
gimmick. Yeah, that gimmick was amazing.
Alistair, again, he's back.
They brought back the song. That's
yeah,
good.
but here's the thing. I feel like, we've just gone back to that Alistair law, and that Alistair wasn't over.
The Alistair was over in NXT. Never
NXT.
was unproven on the main roster.
Yes, and he's going up against some. Isn't he feuding with Carmelo Hayes?
Carmelo Hayes, yeah.
So I'm like, it feels like another mid card, like Andrade versus
Carmelo
has
yeah.
feud. Like, okay, Lord, it's gonna have banger matches, but nothing else above that. I'm a bit worried.
Here's the thing, right? The WWE is so stacked right now.
Yeah.
He literally, even the mid-card title scene is super stacked, right?
Bro, yeah, you had like Jey Uso. I mean, not Jey Uso, alamak.
Jacob Fatu. Yeah, and then on the Raw side, Dom.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yes, Dom, who is super over right now. Speaking of Jacob Fatu, okay, we have to talk about just a few minutes. Jacob Fatu obviously mixing it up with LA Knight, blah 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 blah. Solo Sikoa again, dude. They're letting him run with it with this whole like goofy. Like he starts stealing. I watched SmackDown, right? He's stealing Jacob's lines and stuff like that. I love that shit.
Did Solo just became interesting again?
Yes, he did. He's always been. I think they're just letting him sort of be himself, his full self.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them finally bringing in Jeff. Oh, wait, no. JC Mateo.
Bro, that sounds like a NSYNC boy band name plus an Italian singer vibe. I don't know what's going on, bro.
Okay, so do you think they should have brought in Jeff Cobb as another Bloodline member and then gave him some sort of Samoan name? Even though he's absolutely got no links to the Bloodline. But, they could have kayfabed it, right?
Okay, so I did some research on Jeff Cobb, right? Because I want to see, like, is he really related to the Bloodline? Okay,
he's not.
First, he's not.
Yeah.
But he's a Pacific Islander because he's from Guam.
Oh, okay. So, like...
So I don't know. So are they going to try to play fast and loose with us and say, like, okay, anyone who is from the islands are, like, part of the Bloodline?
So, wait, is Mateo a Islander, quote-unquote, like, surname then?
No, I don't know. Okay. Here, I mean, of course, me being me, I went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
They say that it could be a play on his Lucha Underground name.
Which was?
Matanza. So in Lucha Underground, he wore like a Taurus kind of mask. Like he looked a bit like what's that stupid
Minotaur.
Mentor, yeah. Mentor. So it was, I guess it's kind of a link to like can't call himself Matanza because it's too lucha-ish.
What?
So they give the nearest name that sounds like that.
But
Mateo lah.
what's wrong with Jeff Cobb? He's too white sounding as Jeff Cobb, is it? Because if I
I'm
remember,
so used to Jeff Cobb's name.
actually, at Backlash, didn't the commentators say, "Hey, that's Jeff Cobb. He's the biggest free agent out there." Blah blah blah. Because I remember they said the name Jeff Cobb. I guess they didn't. Yeah, they didn't realize. Also, your lights just went out. I think it's closing time.
It's time. It's time to move on. Yeah, that's what it is.
But yeah, like I guess they didn't realize that they were going to change his name. And the very next week on SmackDown, JC Mateo.
Yeah, I mean it's just a dumb name. I'm so sorry. It's
well,
almost as bad as Viking Experience, bro. To me.
Whenever people change their names, when you're so used to a name, like remember Gunther Walter, everyone said that.
Gunther was terrible, right?
Gunther was a terrible name, but we got used to it. So maybe that's just the case. But JC Mateo, okay, that's gonna take some getting used to.
Okay, but I do like the look of him standing side by side with Solo and
for sure.
Jacob, because all three kind of have the same body size, like hefty, not too tall, a bit short. They kind of look like 3-minute warning. Like they look good together. But my question is like Jeff Cobb is kind of a veteran at this point. He's like in his 40s, right?
Yeah.
So how is he gonna fit with the Solos? Like if he Solos henchman, and what does that do for Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa? You know, where's my guy Tonga Loa, bro?
Where is our tribal chief? At this point, who knows when they are coming back, to be honest. And I think we are headed towards JC Mateo versus Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu's inevitable break from Solo Sikoa. So you got those matches there. I mean, it could be a whole thing where, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, they come back, they side with Solo, and they beat down Jacob, thus giving us the big, Jacob push lah.
So my question is, Jacob gonna leave the bloodline, but Solo, is he gonna still continue the bloodline in this iteration, or
Yes.
what happens to the bloodline? Because technically he is not the Ula Fala leader anymore.
So he has to come up with a new name. I'm sorry. They need to make it clear. This is my own group. This is no longer quote unquote the bloodline anymore. Because it's a very watered down bloodline to say the least.
Yeah, there's too many iterations. But I am looking forward to all this Solo and Jacob rivalry. I think this might actually make Solo of relevance again. Because he did win the Money in the Bank qualifying.
Yeah, so there you go. One more thing that caught my eye, Julia got called up to the main roster already. SmackDown.
Before Stephanie Verker.
Okay. I'm kind of not surprised. I feel like Julia has the aura of a main roster person, and being on NXT didn't fit her. You know who I feel is a comparable example?
Who?
Walk with the guy. Do you
Elias.
remember? Didn't you? Yeah. Do you remember Elias being in NXT and it just didn't fit?
Yeah. I get what you mean. Another good example, Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss wasn't doing much in NXT, but when she went on the main roster, somehow she took it to, duck to the water. So
I think certain people, and maybe they see it as well, certain people just have the look, the vibe, the aura. Oh yeah, you're on the main roster already.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how her English is right now. So, let's see how she does in the ring side, and then with the promo side, I think she might need help there.
Bro, I just thought of something, but it sounded so misogynistic and sexist. I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say it.
Okay, later you just whisper.
Okay,
whisper to me
no.
now.
Okay. I'll say it, but know that I don't say it in a way that I mean it.
Okay,
but she can just stand there and she looks mysterious. She doesn't need to talk. Don't talk, honey. Don't talk. Just stand there and look. That was the thing that was going to come. Like I was like, oh no, don't say it like that. That sounds so bad.
I think somehow you can get your way out of it by saying that she has the mystique and the aura. I think
she absolutely does. Not to say that Stephanie Vacker doesn't. I think Stephanie is already kind of almost there. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Stephanie also makes the main event roster. It's just that she's carrying the belts now, so that's kind of getting in the way.
Bro, everyone's in love with Stephanie Vacker,
and she is playing into it. Have you seen some of her latest outfits? Like, bro,
damn you, Booker T.
Booker T will be very upset the second they call her up. Yeah, but they I think desperately need an injection of new talent in that female main event scene or roster. I guess
it's not even a main event. They need to pad out the mid card as well, right?
But can I say this? I feel like I don't say they should hotshot her, but I think she would be wasted in the mid card of the women's division. I think she's
Okay.
that type of aura. She got that aura where she needs to be right there contending straight away. If not,
You know,
you've missed the boat already.
you know what? Tiffany Stratton, I think, needs more new challenges. So
Yeah.
why not? Why not? And no offense, I know you're not really into Tiffy time at this point in time, but she did have a really good match with Nia Jax,
Yeah.
which I thought made her look better than the WrestleMania match with Charlotte. To be honest,
True that.
yeah.
So, there you
Okay.
go. That's what I think of the wrestling that I've mostly missed for the past 3 weeks. But it's great to be back, to finally like catch up and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean it's a good detox for me as well. I've been busy with my new job, and I hope this schedule works out. While we can't really go live anymore during the weekdays,
Yeah,
we are always pre-recording on the Sundays, and if there's a PLE, we'll try our best to go live. Right?
absolutely. Oh, also one quick mention as well. I've literally lost absolute all connection with AEW. It's hilarious. Like when content, I still follow them on Instagram, right? But I think the algorithm even knows because I barely see anything from them because I'll just scroll away, like, whatever.
There's nothing to be seen. To me, as long as Moxie's holding the title, I don't think I'll be watching that much AEW. The only thing I've been enjoying is the Hurt Business. Officially, MJF is part of the Hurt
Yes,
Business.
I
He's
saw.
their Owen Hart, so that's good enough for me.
I saw. So
Yeah.
hashtag oh no. There you go. This is a double header, by the way. We're back with sharing WWE stuff, but we're also gonna chat with Greg in just a few moments.
Yep.
Greg from GrappleMax, because GrappleMax's Fight Club 5 Absolute Cinema is happening this weekend. In fact, we'll ask him all about what's going on at GrappleMax, and also we'll talk to him about the match card itself. And joining us on the show, it's Greg. Welcome back to the podcast, my man.
Thanks, guys. Always good to be back.
Awesome. I think this is almost like a yearly seasonal thing. You always want to check in with the big boss, the end boss for GrappleMax,
The
right?
State of the Union
yes.
address, right, is what this is.
Yes, find out what the lay of the land is as far as the
Yes.
local pro wrestling scene is concerned, GrappleMax is concerned. And my man, I have a lot of questions because, of course, we're heading into Fight Club 5 Absolute Cinema this upcoming weekend, right? And I noticed a few changes.
No, we got.
Got big changes, in fact, which, I am absolutely not against because I understand, what you're doing kind of in a way. But I guess we'll get to that in just a bit. But first and foremost, how have you been? What's been new for you in terms of GrappleMax and all that kind of stuff?
A bit cliched to say, but honestly, incredibly busy. I think a lot has changed since we last spoke. I think last time I was with Joseph. Probably we were previewing Night Fest, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a bit more focused on like that production, that show.
Yeah.
But even then, that was probably like I think 9 months ago, and like so much has changed even since then.
Yeah, for sure.
So for example, at that point in time, like Night Fest was one of our outside events from the studio, right? But we were sort of pretty happy with the idea of let's focus on running a lot of shows in the studio and build this place up to become like that one place where wrestling shows happen. That was the goal for the last like year and a half. But this year is tough because if you look around, you see our upcoming cards, right? So we got Fight Club 5 at Projector, right? We just announced Pink Fest happening at New Baru.
Nice.
We've got some more shows coming up in different places, for the rest of the year. So I think what we're seeing is actually there's a lot of demand for pro wrestling and for GrappleMax to take our wares and sort of move around. We even announced Pro Wrestling Festival 2, which is a sequel to last year's Jurong Spring CC, which I can talk about briefly as well. So I think it's a good problem to have where we're seeing that, like suddenly, our plans change again because there's so much more opportunity to take our brand outside. But I think with that brings a lot more responsibilities as well.
Yeah, well,
is this a case of people are now, hey, we've heard about this, we are reaching out to you, or is it still a sort of like, you still got to go out and sell the brand, as it were?
I mean, you guys know the struggle, right? Back then it wasn't just like what's GrappleMax? What's pro wrestling? Like, can this even fit in this space, right?
Yeah.
And I think that has changed where awareness is so much higher now, right? Because of the efforts of all the promotions here and across the region. And what we're seeing now is that those conversations, they happen much more easily than they used to happen before. So we still have to go and pitch for sure, right? Because in the end, I think people are waiting for us to approach and to say, hey, can we bring wrestling to your space now? But I think the pitch is much easier. I think once that door is like creaked open just a little bit, people are very keen to have that conversation.
Love
Yeah,
it.
so in fact, there's an event coming up in August, which I can't talk about just yet. But in fact, that
Ooh.
person's CEO told me, hey, I was waiting for you to contact me for the last 2 years. I'm so glad you
Ooh.
finally reached out. My staff been talking about you guys for 2 years. And I'm
Wow.
glad we
Okay.
can finally, yeah, we're waiting for someone to call the other fella. So we figured, you know what, let's just go out there and just like, like get out there and just
Mm,
call whoever we can. And
Mm-hmm.
we're also seeing a lot more requests coming in
yes.
to inject wrestling into other people's programming as well.
I love it. And of course, you said that you're taking the show on the road, as you say it, right?
Mm.
And you guys have a lot of opportunities. But with that comes a lot of logistical nightmare because I'm assuming every time you guys have to do a show, you guys have to tear down that beautiful ring behind you. You guys have to
Mhm.
set it up elsewhere, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Has it gotten any easier, that process, or is it still a hassle to do that?
Oh no, much easier. Yes and no, right? So you're correct on both counts. It is still a hassle because in the end, this ring is still this massive tuatong thing we gotta tear down every single time. But I think it's really down to the team who've helped very much in terms of creating very solid processes that now make it much easier for us to tear down and set up pretty quickly. So I think it really comes with practice, right? And I think also it's been a nice side effect of having so many outside shows where we are really forced to activate and tear down, set up. And again, we still run training like 5 days a week, right? So we can't afford to have any downtime. So once the show is done, tear down, bump out, come back, usually set up the same night, and then 2 days later back to training again because our next show is like 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So again, it's a crazy place to be in versus where we first began talking 8 years ago. But I
Yep.
think this is really where we kind of need to be at this point in time.
Yep.
Do you reckon that you are exactly like you brought up that conversation we had so many years ago, right? And you were embarking on this whole new thing, new space, even through the years.
Mm.
Are you comfortable with where you are? Do you think you should be further ahead, or
Oh.
you're already very far ahead? Like,
I mean, you all
where do
know
you?
me, lah, right? It's
Yeah.
I still think it's too slow. I think
Okay.
we can go faster.
Mm.
I mean, even you guys, right? You guys have grown so much in especially the last 1-2 years, right? The way your brand has grown since when we first started talking about this, and I think there's a lot of ways where we can all move pro wrestling forward, right? I still don't see why it's not possible to run shows on say a fortnightly basis. Why can't we have 200 people learning pro wrestling across the whole country? Like there's such a boom happening now as we're all very much aware of. I'm sure you guys have seen take up on your side as well for people talking about pro wrestling.
Yep.
So it just needs someone to just sort of grab it by the collar and let's fucking go, man. Let's make wrestling like that number one pop culture thing in
Yeah.
Singapore now.
Yeah, I know this is such a business related question, but I think I will be remiss not to ask you,
That's
as
okay.
such a Singaporean thing. In terms of like revenue, right?
Are you really going
Wow.
there?
No. I'm not going it directly. I'm going
Mm.
indirectly. But what I'm saying is like, is it easier to monetize wrestling as a brand, as a concept nowadays? Because I've seen you like kind of like inserting GrappleMax in a lot of very different kind of industries and environments and shows. But would you say your biggest revenue is still like the monthly shows, or like some of these like external companies doing it is they're doing it in such a big scale that those are your big revenue drivers. So I'm
Yeah.
just curious to know because people want to ask like how you make money in pro wrestling, right? So what's the overall picture on that?
Yeah, let me pull out my TED Talk business podcast hat now. No, I think it's definitely changed quite a fair bit actually. So, going back to what I said about how we've switched the model to be focusing a bit less on the studio being the main focus of the shows. So our original plan was to be actually still about 60% revenue coming from memberships, 40% from the shows. But what we saw last year, 2024, was like a huge change in that second part of revenue. So membership was growing like just say roughly about 10-15% year on year. Our events jumped up like 80% year on year.
Wow.
Right? So anyone running a startup will go, hey, right, let's focus on that second one
Yes.
for the same amount of effort. And the biggest surprise, since you've opened up my business brain at this point in time, was our marketing spend went down 20% in the same period. So we actually spend less marketing dollar to increase events by 80%. Right. And that's
Nice.
crazy, right? So you think in
Yes.
that case, right, we're on the right path. We found something. People want to see more of GrappleMax out there outside the studio. Let's make it happen in ways that make sense. So the answer for us, I think the answer here is yes, we're seeing revenue come in, but driven a lot more by events than we had originally planned because the market's telling us that,
Yeah.
which is a lot of
Fair.
fun, to be in at this point in time.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So with more events also means the booking and the evolution of all your wrestlers have to sort of like speed up a little bit, like, as it were. So does that worry you? Like, you're putting these guys through more shows, you have to evolve their issues and storylines faster in a way as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
I think so. I mean, it does worry me. I think every day I get nervous about, can we, I think the more you present yourself as a world-class company, or at least an international class company, the more expectations change. Right? I think, again, 5-6 years ago, we could probably get away with, we're working out of this Muay Thai gym in Joo Chiat, right?
Yes.
We're sort of bootstrapping, and like, the whole place is this kind of very grassroots, very kampong style, and it's okay because they're trying to find their way. But now we're looking at 8.5, 9 years in this year, right? We're somehow nearing like 10 years very, very soon. And I think the more people look at the brand, the more they say, hey, these guys know what they're doing in terms of the overall marketing positioning, the way the shows are produced, the way the academy is growing, the way the shows are presented. And I think with that comes this pressure where the performances have to step up.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel like there are more eyes kind of like being a bit more critical in terms of like maybe not just the fans here that watch, but maybe like outside people online, people that you might not even know about what you guys see, but they're just solely making a judgment based on what's the first thing that they see and they compare it?
I think we're pretty lucky where we keep pushing both sides, right? So we do get more voices talking about the brand. We always have the same pool of people who will always criticize, right? One of our favorite Shaikon fans is this person will always DM us in response to our stories.
Oh.
Without fail, right? He'll put like, oh wow, fake. So fake. Every feud without fail, any story, wow, can see the choreography fake every time.
Not a fan lah.
No, we
we
don't know who he is, right? But this is my first time acknowledging him on public forum. So if you're out there, right?
Hey, let's not enable this person. We've just enabled this person.
We just find it so funny.
They DM you on Instagram or like on some social. So
or
their
like,
profile is like blank profile lah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's keyboard warrior lah.
But it's really funny. I'm just answering for I think so. That's the extent of negativity we get.
Okay.
Right. Which actually at this point in time, we feel great. Like, but you keep posting, you keep messaging us, right? So I guess you're watching. So thank you for watching, right? I'll happily take your engagement all the time. But I think the bigger group we are receiving are people who are just very supportive of what we're doing, right? And I think they love the fact that we keep bringing up like new concepts. And honestly, from now all the way till November, until next January, almost every show's concept is different again.
Wow.
We can't sit still. I think that's the fact for us. The team like has a lot of creative ideas. And we thought this year, since momentum appears to be there, let's just cash in on that now. And every idea we had, like, don't wait already. Just
nice.
Make it happen, with any partners we can find. And push that goal through. If not now, then when, right? Yeah.
Seeing as how Kick to the Guy is always full of creative ideas as well, right? Not that I'm pitching lah, but what have you guys considered working towards a stipulation match as one of your, signature events going forward? Because what I think is really, really cool about you guys is you guys have been more or less purist company, right? Full on, wrestling matches, tag team matches. Not really a lot of stipulation matches per se. I think the chess match is the first in a while since like even the previous Fight Club. Have you ever considered like running a show based on a stipulation, like how our WWE used to do back in the day?
You mean like a Money in the Bank show or like a TLC or
like a Royal Rumble or whatnot?
Yeah, we're working towards that. I mean, even this upcoming Fight Club, we can talk about it in a bit more detail later, right? Actually, out of the 5 matches, 3 are stipulations. Right? Which is quite. I mean, honestly, you're right. Where it's quite new for us, right? We tend to be quite purist on let's let the wrestling do the talking. And it doesn't mean that we are shifting away from that, but we do know that there is an appetite for a GrappleMax take on what a inverted commas a hardcore match might look like, right? And we think it's fun to then present it in a way where we can sort of make people think more about what this type of wrestling means to them. through a GrappleMax presentation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I find it very, very interesting, especially
Yeah.
when you said a GrappleMax interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be different for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's jump into Fight Club real quickly. But also, I just want to give a shout out to Najran because we all know he comes out with these amazing posters and coming soon sort of posters, right? I have to say this, I want to bring this out because the first time I saw this poster, you know the one that's pinned on your Instagram and it shows all the upcoming shows?
Yes.
And the first, because I didn't read the caption, and then I saw GrappleMax 21st June show. I was like, did they run out of creative ideas to name it? Because it literally says GrappleMax show, and the show is in like some nice, cool font, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
wait,
What's
so
happening?
has that show been named or not? It's still unnamed.
No, it's still unnamed. It's okay. That one is the date is set.
21st June.
We had a few ideas in mind, but some ideas fell through because different elements sort of didn't venue or talent didn't quite work out the way we had in mind.
Sure.
Right.
So we knew the date was fixed, but we weren't sure what would happen then. So we're bringing in a new concept for that particular show, and then this idea we had for June, we're pushing it back to later in the year.
Oh.
So it will happen. We just haven't locked in the date just yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
my
It will
question
happen.
is
Yes.
it still going to be just show?
Oh yeah, here's the GrappleMax show called GrappleMax show.
Actually, no,
on
at this point, why not
21st
just call it
June.
show? I think that would be still
Right?
hilarious.
That would so sell the tickets, right? Hey, are you going to the
the
GrappleMax
show.
show? Right? This is the big one.
The big
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Right. Very nice. No, so that's gonna change. That's gonna change.
okay.
We just honestly haven't had time because again, between Fight Club 5, it's crazy because we literally just came out of NWE Showcase 2.
Correct.
Right. And that sold out. That blew our minds when it sold out. Because it's like it's a really like a old school GrappleMax card where it's just wrestling, right? There's no promos, no like big stipulations. It's just pure wrestling, and we sold out, and that was super incredible. And then please.
Can I just say as well, since I was there, and it was
you were there, right? Yeah.
it was my first time at the NWE show, right? Can I just say you guys have draws in your NWE roster, bro?
Yes.
Shout out to Devon. I think he's one of the guys. Like his Stumby shtick is like really catching on. Everyone's in love with him. And I know these are people probably like the fans or the people that came are like friends and people are supporting, but genuinely getting good reactions, right? Devon, shout out to Nathaniel, and I know very recently making their debut the twins A Square. And just the novelty of a twins wrestling. I mean, even if people do not know them, they are still along in their journey.
Yeah.
But that those has to be kind of like a draw. So like how people go to NXT for Stephanie Verker, you know what I mean? Like they know they can expect that. So I think you guys are building a bit of a personality and kind of a look and feel that's different from the main shows in NWE, which is quite good.
Talk to us about these kids. Like, so far, like, their progress, tell us about them.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool, right? Because so you mentioned Nat, you mentioned Devon, you mentioned the twins, right? And I think all these people, like they've sort of come up through the NWE system over the last half a year to 2 years. And I think going back to how GrappleMax used to be, right, where we were so focused on, we had those graduation matches and I think most people loved them. Some people felt, okay, it's a bit of a strange placement on a card where there's a lot of like really big matches in here. Some like this graduation, which isn't a term which wrestling fans are usually used to, right? It's a GrappleMax term, but maybe less understandable, I guess, to a more traditional wrestling audience. So we thought, but we don't want to lose that sense, right? Where we have this very safe space, like a GrappleMax showcase, where all these upcoming kids can work on their skill sets. And I think what we're seeing now is, and I'm glad you mentioned that you sort of see the draws that these kids can have, because if not for, I think, the NWE system, they might get lost as we start working towards these like big shows for like 200 plus, 300 plus people.
Yes.
So we didn't want to lose that feeling, and that's why I think it's really great that people like yourself and the fans can really see that these shows still serve a very important purpose, which is to let these kids develop. Yeah, so the Dambi came entirely from like Devon's own sort of imagination. I think Nathaniel's becoming a very good, sort of big man style, which we didn't have that many of before in GrappleMax too. And then the twins obviously bring a very unique opportunity, both in terms of purely from a wrestling perspective, but also from a storytelling, right? I've had requests for Twin Magic so many times on my DMs already. So like,
I can't tell them apart, bro. Legit.
It took me
It can work.
funny story about the twins, right? So even for the coaches, we struggled to tell them apart for a very long time.
Wow.
Then I finally got to a point where I was correct, like 90%, when I guessed it. And then, oh, by the way, here are our ring names. And I'm like, oh shit, I need to relearn all over again.
Right.
So
Yeah.
can you
yeah.
imagine like the commentary or like the referees and all that?
Oh my god, yes, yeah.
Can you
damn.
imagine? Like, yeah, so we can't imagine how they start doing the commentary part. But it's gonna be great. I think just again, the storytelling potential is fantastic. And I think as wrestlers, even though it was their first match, I think the crowd was very surprised at I think how good their technique and their potential was from that match. Yeah. So a lot more kids coming up too. We just had one new trainee pass his grading, in fact, just last night. So
Nice.
we're bringing him
Congrats.
into the program quite soon as well. So it'd be quite an exciting time for us in the next 2 or 3 NWE showcases.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The funnel is there for sure.
The funnel is there.
Yes.
You might see a few new faces, maybe even on the upcoming 21st June GrappleMax show. Right?
Sure.
So we'll
Can't
see.
wait, can't
Stay
wait.
tuned because the card's pretty stacked now, but we'll try and see how can we maybe incorporate a bit more of an NWE flavor to those shows as well.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Okay,
stay tuned.
let's focus on this upcoming Saturday. Of course, it's Fight Club 5. Absolute Cinema. I have to know who came up with that tag because it's happening at the projector at Golden Mile Tower, right?
It's perfect.
Cinema.
It's perfect.
Yeah, who came up with
It's
that?
perfect. Well, I mean that meme's always around, right? So the
Right.
absolute cinema thing is always there. I think we put it up to the team. I can't recall who exactly came up with it. Not sure if Van knows. So we're not sure who came up with it, but we know that when we ran through the options, like in the end, that was the best one. Yeah. And I think with that came the idea of okay, how do we then deliver on this promise that it's still, so Fight Club alone is a very different vibe from a regular GrappleMax show. I think that's how Fight Club 4 won like event of the year from you guys last year. So how do we then bring back that feel of Fight Club, but also embrace this idea of we're actually going to be in the cinema?
I'm very, very excited because of course I've personally never been to a Fight Club before. But I have heard so many great things as well, right? Just okay, I'm very curious about the logistics, right? And I'm sure you don't want to spoil too much, but me knowing the layout of projector, I'm assuming you're not doing the show at the outside area. I'm thinking you guys are doing it in the actual theater.
Yeah. So I think to be very clear, some people thought we're doing it in the bar like last year. And I think that would be too simple for us, lah. Right. Let's make life harder for us because we love making life harder for ourselves. So we are bringing it into the cinema.
Wow.
And not the smaller blue room, which is where they do some of the like the smaller like cabaret shows, but we're doing it inside the
main one,
red room cinema.
Oh
wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously the screen is going to be put to use, lah.
Oh, it is for sure. Yes. Yeah, this is like Remus's dream come true. Right?
Yes.
Like, oh my god, I have a 4-story screen to do stuff in.
Oh wow, he's gonna love it. I can't wait for the promos, pre-match promos and vignettes, bro.
I mean, you may have seen some of it coming out. So I think some of our videos have shown some of the stuff we've shot already. We are taking it from a much more cinematic eye. We are taking some cues. Again, I don't want to spoil anything about the show because it's such a new concept for everyone here in Singapore. But we were very inspired. So we were watching a lot of like COVID era WWE cinematics. And we think there is a chance here to sort of present wrestling in a very different way, while still keeping it like that grungy Fight Club, anything can happen kind of feel.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always loved the concept of, and I'm just spitballing ideas because when you said that, immediately I thought of, those style of matches that start outside, but technically not outside, but you know what I mean, lah. Like the Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt fighting in the house, and then they fight into the arena, that kind of thing. I think
so again,
this might be the perfect place for that.
Yeah. So like I said, we've been taking a lot of inspiration from different places. Again, I will neither confirm nor deny whether what you're saying is something that we're doing. And I think it's fun and also very scary, right? Because I honestly have no idea whether the fans will even take to it. Because there's every chance, right? That people go, it's just on the screen. I'm not engaged anymore. I only want to see like the fighting in front of me. And we're hoping that the way that we integrate the screen and the fighting and the live fighting, and the way that we engage the audience and the entire cinema space sort of comes together. So
I
actually, a
get
big
you.
inspiration for me, right, for creating this particular concept was, when you go for those theme parks overseas, right?
Yes.
And then you go for a pre-show,
Mhm.
and everyone in that pre-show is part of the show, right? From
Yes.
the usher to the one who is maybe switching on the buttons to play the screen. And then once the actual ride or the show starts, you're so into it because I have completely bought into this universe now, where this screen is part of that narrative. So that was the inspiration. And I think what we're trying to do is bring a bit of that feel, where for 2 hours, that's why we're calling it an immersive cinematic wrestling experience. Because it's really not a wrestling show. Oh, well, it is, but it's not a traditional wrestling show.
Yeah.
And we're really hoping that every single part of this production really fires on the same page on the day itself. But it is
Bro,
scary. It is scary because we've never done this before.
honestly, bro, you should start to IP every single one of your concepts, bro. Oh, you gotta
I've
IP
had
that
some.
shit, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, there can be a separate discussion about that. But yes, we are starting to see that the brands we're building sort of take on their own life of their own, right? So
Yep.
Fight Club is one, Pro Wrestling Festival. There's going to be a sequel in July.
Mm.
And each of these we're finding has a very different feel
Yep.
from the previous one. So we're thinking there is a way to start to design different types of events based
Yeah.
on where we're going. Right. So a
Yep.
projector show, a Fight Club show is very different from a festival show.
And an
Is
amplify show.
Amplify is very different. And we can see ourselves creating a whole series of brands under this GrappleMax umbrella, right? I mean, NWE Showcase is technically a separate brand under that as well. And again, it's just so much fun because we didn't quite even think about this idea of branding shows, even 3 years ago. And suddenly oh wow, we have 5 different cards to play. And each of these has a different style of telling wrestling storytelling to a new audience. And that's why Fight Club is so exciting for us now, especially.
So is anniversary show still your WrestleMania, or are you guys building such big brands?
I don't know what's on WrestleMania anymore. We're not sure, but we know that I think at this point in time, what we're feeling is that every show is important. So again, I think last year when we spoke in person, what I said was the idea was we're gonna do maybe 2 amplifiers followed by a major like a PLE sort of show, right? So a Fight Club was a PLE, anniversaries a WrestleMania. But what we're seeing now is that there is enough appetite from the audience to consume wrestling on a monthly basis, as long as the shows have something compelling. Both in terms of storytelling, both in terms of stipulations, formats. And we think this year we may be able to address that demand, where again, like I said to you, I think once we announce the second half calendar, you're going to see every single show is a new concept, but still authentic to what GrappleMax Pro Wrestling is. And I think that's what is incredibly exciting for myself and the team.
Yeah. Beyond the concept, before we delve into the card, can you address one more thing? I think we should talk about it as well.
Sure.
On the previous Amplify, which I was there as well. So you, my friend, announced a new GrappleMax championship.
Yes.
Can you share a bit more details about that? How that came about? Any early details on how that tournament is going to be set up, for example?
Yeah, I think that one is also a really exciting time for us, right? Because what I mentioned during that presentation was that we made fans wait a very long time, right? And I think our very first open weight title came in after something like 6 years since we first started, right? Most promotions start the first year, boom, wow, here's our world championship, which is great, right? But for us, it was always, we want to make sure that when we do eventually launch our top title, we have the depth of people in the roster that people would believe, wow, locally there's such a deep roster where anyone here in this list of names could potentially win this top title. Then that gives the title prestige. We didn't want to just give it to one champion and he holds it for 2 years because there's no one to win it off him, for example. So that's why we thought let's do open weight after 6 years. Then we realized, okay, there's space for tag because people want to see a different style of wrestling. Tag team was growing very well for us starting from 2 years ago, right? So Aussies coming up, Ships Ahoy, and quite a few other teams coming up. And we thought there's now the right time to launch tag team. And then the one thing people kept asking us after that was, okay, what about the guys who are just below the main event card? right? Like how do you reward some of the guys who are sort of bubbling under, right? So just to name some names, not spoilers for the matches, but potential names, people like Calvin Lang, for example, right? Julian Creed, Jin Kai, Jordan, right? Some of these guys, right? A lot of these guys sort of could benefit from maybe a mid-card title chase, right? And just to show audiences, hey, like you know our big Daves, you know our hot shots, you know our all these main event guys, Panzer Chuck's now coming up too. But also don't forget about these guys, right? And this gives them something to chase. And now because the roster is so stacked, we thought now it's easier, right? We can launch more belts in shorter time because we know once we launch it, we easily have, off top of your head, 5, 6, 7 names who could realistically compete for the belt, which couldn't have been done, 2 years ago.
Agree.
So that's why we're doing it now and why it's happening 1 year after Tech. Because we have the roster, we already have the stories in place. We will crown the first rising champ at Pro Wrestling Festival 2 in July. And that's the plan.
Yeah. Awesome. So there will be a tournament gearing up towards that.
Probably not. Okay. I think because of this, we don't want to do the same story as last year, where let's run another tournament. It's a little bit. I think you can't do the same story for every belt. So we do plan for it to be decided, launched and decided in July. But then that kicks off the stories after that. So the first match for the belt will be a title match.
Gotcha.
But we'll make it make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it could be like multi-man match. It could. It's.
There are ways. Yeah. Again, so many shows coming out, so I got to keep in mind like where the law is at this point in time. So as at this point in time, like it will make sense, but let us cook till 21st June.
Yes, Papa Greg. Can I just say the Rising Championship debuting at GrappleMax Festival feels like it can be potentially a tradition in the sense that the Rising Championship can be like tied to GrappleMax Wrestling Festival as like a showcase. For example, you know how some matches it's well known for it being an intercontinental title showcase, like how we always talk about SummerSlam until now. So I feel that there's a beauty there in terms of how that dynamic would work. So I'm very excited to see Rising Championship debut at GrappleMax Festival.
I think that was the idea, because the festival we're seeing is, because again that's the one that's supported by the PA and the Jurong Spring CC. And I think the response was so strong, and we thought, okay, let's make this one of our sort of like signature events now, and make sure that whenever we do this event at Jurong Spring, it has a sort of like a PLE feel to it.
Nice.
And they are so incredibly supportive. We thought, okay, let's throw in like a title launch to meet this particular timeline.
Exciting.
You brought up 3 names when we talk about the Rising Championship, right?
Okay.
3 names that if perhaps you've been away for a while, and you're coming back and you're going, wait a minute, since when did they get a last name? Wait a minute, who is this? Okay, of course I'm talking about Jin Kai, Calvin Lang, and Julian Creed, formerly known as Calvin, Julian, and Jordan. Right? When did this change happen, and what was the thought process? Like, why did you guys decide, all right, let's tweak their names a little bit?
When it happened, you mean when we decided to make it happen?
And when it actually happened, because I've been away for like almost a month, so I feel a bit lost in the weeds. Did it happen while I was away?
You can't miss 1 month of GrappleMax.
Right.
Because all kinds of shit happens here. We've always wanted to do it, but we were exactly concerned of this response, which was like basically, what the fuck? Who are these things, right? So it's like, how like change is scary, even for the people who, especially for the ones who are making the change happen.
Yes.
So to be completely honest, from a human perspective, we were just procrastinating because we were scared. We weren't sure what's the right time to play this. We knew we had to do it at some point, right? Because we thought, like, to make it much more like a world-class promotion, we needed to have very recognizably like wrestler sort of names, right? And going back to the 2 names you mentioned just now, like you can only go so far with, for example, here's like GrappleMax Openweight Championship, Kelvin versus Julian. Right. I mean, we know them, so that's fine, right? But when you go to a new audience, it's like, okay, sure, but what are their wrestler names? And that's why we thought, okay, now's the right time, because there was a break. So we took a rare like 1 month break between Feb and April when we came back with Amplify, and we thought, let's spend this 1.5 months sort of going through everyone's gimmicks and working with them to get a sense of, okay, hey, like now's the time, right? We're gonna work with everyone, and for those who don't need it, fine. I think Simon Sia is a great name that just works, for example.
Yeah.
But some of them don't, right? And we thought this is the best time to do like a team-wide exercise and work. So those who really need it or those who really want it, let's develop a name that you can identify with, and then we'll launch that when we go either amplify, or if it's too much to go one shot, which might be a bit strange, we will stagger over time. So there will be more changes coming in. Perhaps even for myself at some point. We don't know, right? We'll see, right? Again, it's back to what the performer feels very strongly about, right?
Yep.
And I think that's why it's important to make the change. Yeah. But was it weird for you guys?
I was there at NWE when they suddenly announced Jin Kai, and I'm like, Jin who?
Yeah.
I remember I turned to somebody and asked, who? Yeah.
Jin Kai.
I do like Ming Rui's new name.
Oh,
she's now called Radiant Rui.
Yeah.
And I specifically pulled her aside after the show and asked her, hey, so like Radiant, is there a reason why you call it a Radiant? And I think she said that the Ming's does translate to like happy or radiant or shiny, something along those lines, if I'm not wrong. So there is a tie-in to her actual name with Radiant. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I like that lore, you know. I like that. It's just hopefully it can connect or let the actual audience know the story behind it, maybe through social media or whatnot.
I don't know if you saw my brain working. I was digging very hard into my secondary school Chinese. I was like, Ming. Isn't there a very famous phrase? 床前明月光, something like that.
Don't do me like that.
Bro.
Sorry,
it's like,
bro.
It's like one of those things you learn when you're in secondary school.
Are you all saying my Chinese probably on the same level as you guys?
Okay, maybe let's not go that far.
Okay.
Almost there. But yeah, no, I love Julian Creed's name, actually. That was the one that really jumped out to me.
Yeah.
Calvin Lang, I'm still like, is that his real last name or?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's his character name.
Okay.
Calvin Lang, I think maybe ask him when you talk to him in
Yes,
future,
I would love to,
podcasts. Some of these, again, they were very personal choices to them. Like, we thought, like, as long as it doesn't make you go, huh? Like, too much.
I think Jin Kai was the one that made us go, huh?
Jin Kai, the idea we had was we thought like a Mortal Kombat character type of name.
Like Liu Kang, Guang Lao.
Yeah, right. Because like he does have a taekwondo background, and we thought we should start to lean into that more and more, rather than just like here's a whiny, sort of grumpy.
Right.
The moment he starts wearing that Karate Kid vibes, I think he's gonna really pull off that look. Yeah,
and I mean like any acting kind of role, right? I think the more you flesh out what that character looks like, and sometimes it starts from the name. And once you have the name down, you can start to visualize like what that looks like. Whereas if it's too linked to yourself as a person, sometimes it's very hard to then what possibly can Greg Ho do, for example. And I think this is why like character changes do help these guys like solidify, or at least start to solidify what that looks like.
We've really seen the evolution of GrappleMax, because I still remember like only when you turn grade 3 then you can start choosing your gimmicks and all that. So I like the evolution.
Don't remind me lah. As an old school guy, I always want to bring it back, but then like I think the market's moved on. I think it's very difficult to do that. I think we can retain the essence of it through the NWE shows, but we do know that I think the whole sense of like you earn your name at grade 3 is probably a bit too. It doesn't work anymore once we've moved to this level of brand awareness versus like when we were in like Juchat.
I do love the idea of like the kids and in NWE, kind of getting their reps in, and once they finally so-called graduate and go on to the big show, then they have the option to be repackaged like a main roster re-debut if they wanted to.
Correct. So that's the intent. And even NWE level, you might see some sort of like already character names come up from there, right? And I think it's fine. Like we don't want to make it too prescriptive. If someone's got a really awesome name they want to play from day one and it works for some reason, I mean, I don't see why creative would say no.
I love it.
So this is the start. This is the start. And again, we love building in public. Sometimes we make weird choices and it takes a while for people to get used to it, but I think in the long run, this will pay off.
Okay.
So as of us recording this right now, which is Sunday evening, right? Are there still tickets available for Fight Club 5? Okay.
Yes. So premium's almost sold out. We still have the GA available in the second section of the seats.
Yes.
So still available. Yes.
So there you go. Go get your tickets to Fight Club 5. Absolute Cinema is happening this Saturday.
That's right. at
Awesome.
Golden Mile Towers projector, the OG projector.
Correct.
Yes.
Doors open
Yes.
at 6:45. Okay, come, let's take a look at the card right now. Okay, I have it right in front of me. Crypto Bro LK versus SPD.
That's right.
All right, I missed the last show. Why has LK gone to the dark side? Why does he have an issue with SPD?
Well, I mean, LK is such an asshole now, right? He's always just like getting in SPD's face. I mean, I think
Yeah.
before that, Carl as well has been
Ah.
having some issues with SPD.
Correct.
And Carl and LK actually teamed up in a tag match prior, and I think
Yeah.
they have found a pretty good chemistry, the two of them, right? These two
Mhm.
like veterans, they've been around for so long, and I think what happened was they began sort of like taunting SPD for, you never go and train, why you how dare you try and insult us veterans,
Yeah.
when the irony was they're the ones who don't train anymore, right? So that's sort of how this whole thing started. Like Carl's like too busy to even be on Fight Club 5, for example, but so that's sort of like this heelish angle that they're working now. And so LK is sort of here to sort of slap SPD down again, like, and sort of prove that like he is still very much the veteran here. Yeah.
I do love the fact that they have kind of become an alliance somehow, like Crypto Bro and our dear friend Carl.
Yes.
And the vignettes that they have been shooting them like driving some open top convertible and talking shit on SPD.
It's great, isn't it? I love it so much.
I love it. It's been enjoyable. But
yeah.
Have you seen anyone with the sort of babyface reaction that SPD has been getting, bro? Like, I don't know whether it's organic or just a lot of his friends, but he seems to be getting the best like babyface reactions out of a lot of your people in your roster, bro.
I think it's organic. I think recently we're seeing, even because we do run some of the post-event surveys as well, we do talk to a lot of fans, and we do find that SPD is really rising up fan favorite, what's the term for it? Fan awareness. Right. I think the fans love him a lot at this point in time. And I think you will see his star come up quite a fair bit in the next half a year or so. It'll be quite an exciting time for SPD fans. Yep.
Wait, did I get it right? You do post show service? Do you like ask people, so who was your favorite wrestler from the card?
No, but I think that's why it matters, right? Because even without prompting for who's your favorite wrestler, like some people's names do come up. Oh, hey, this was my favorite moment when so and so like hit this and that. And I think SPD is very much one of our top wrestlers now. I think he's firing on all levels. His promos are fire. His
physique has gotten in shape.
The dude is like cut now, right? So like, I think across the board he's working incredible. I mean, he's been in this business for a long time, for those who know, right? And I've never seen him in such a shape as he is now. And I think the only guy who matches that shape is probably like LK, right? So you have two guys who are very much been around for I think together maybe over almost like 20 years of experience in pro wrestling, right? In this never seen before singles match between the two of them. This would have been easily one of our top dream matches within the promotion. And I think to pull it off at Fight Club 5 will be a super cool way to introduce the people to pro wrestling.
And they have such distinct characters, both of them, so easy to get attached to or hate, right?
Exactly. I love it because I think the two of them are such like organic characters, right? And I mean, for those who know, like LK, like he very much is the character, right? Went from Lady Killer through to Crypto Bro, he's always been very authentic to this is who I am. It's just blown up to like 300%. SPD has sort of also been very much himself, but I think over the last half a year he's really tuned into the timing and like what the audience really wants to see from him, and I think he's really beginning to master that. So honestly, right, I think this is one of the things I'm looking forward to the most at Fight Club, like this particular match, because the combination of charisma, experience, and also the fact that both are still very much in their prime is going to be such an incredible match to open the show.
Love it.
So this one will be opening the show, confirmed.
It will.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go. I'm looking forward to it. You guys know my love for SPD, so I hope hey, represent lah. Give this LK a bit of a spear for me, if you know what I mean.
Someday we have to resolve this.
Run that back.
This lingering plot thread.
Never forget. Never forget.
You should come down for our referee course, then you can be a special guest referee. And then
oh my god,
that I think is the way in to have you close that loop once and for all.
Yes. Let me ref an LK match.
I think so. Let's make it happen.
Get Young on the referee course, get me back on commentary. I think we can do something there, bro. We can do something. I will be your Michael Cole.
Wide open. There is a need for that. Okay, we'll talk more offline, but there is a need for your services for some of our shows coming up. Let's figure it out.
Let's talk
Yes.
about the
Alright.
triple threat match then.
Oh, that's
Jin
gonna be fun.
Kai, yes,
Yeah.
formerly known as Jordan, versus Hotshot versus Scumdog Sage Matthews. I actually saw Scumdog
Ooh.
Sage Matthews promo. Very interesting promo style, I have to say, right?
Oh,
But
I agree.
yes, I haven't seen this guy before. I don't know if you have, Foreign, but can you tell us, Greg, about who Sage Matthews is?
Yeah, so he's a super talented, very young American wrestler. He was introduced to me by Shiho over in PWS Korea.
Okay.
So we just recently ran a show for like 3,000 people in Seoul, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay.
Scumdog was on that show in I think a tag team main, if I recall correctly. So I think very, very talented, very used to working all types of backgrounds. So he's done obviously a lot of ring shows. This is obviously going to be a Fight Club match show. So I think the fun part for him and also for us watching him is seeing how he adapts his high flying style. His finishes a swanton, a very nice swanton, and how he's going to adapt that to the Fight Club environment.
How young is he?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think it's like early 20s from what
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure about that. But he is very, very young, very talented, very, very driven.
Yeah.
In Shiho's words from Korea, he says very, very handsome. The girls will like him a lot. Very charismatic. So I think this is sort of like what we're looking forward to as well. So I think a great combination of charisma. You see some of that in his promo. He's definitely not shy to get in your face.
Yeah.
And I think you will see some of that against two of our top guys in the triple threat match.
Yeah, early 20s, and he's already doing shows the other side of the world. I think that's a
Right. That
great
speaks a lot.
future.
I really love that there are wrestlers from around the world now coming to this region and really sort of making a name for themselves here.
Would you say this is huge for not just him, but also for Jordan Jin Kai as well? Because they are literally in there with the champ, with the GrappleMax Openweight champ. Like, it's not a title match, right?
It's not a title match, no.
The person who wins this, I mean, arguably, if it's not Hotshot, could lay claim to the title shot next, no?
Potentially, right? Especially if he gets pinned, right? I think that sort of says a lot in this match. But triple threat rules, as always, you never know like who's going to get pinned in this match, and I think it's a lot of fun for all three. Hotshot is easily our most established guy after all these years of being champ. Right? I think his timing on his cutter is fantastic now. He's got one of the best drop kicks I've ever seen in Singapore, and the timing of it, right? The way he's got his timing down in his current role as champ is, I think, again, top of his game after knowing him for since like 2017. Right? So it's really great to see him be the one who's sort of holding this match now as the company's ace. And then you have Jin Kai, right, who's here, not just new name, but also new approach to how he wants to wrestle. I think Jin Kai will bring a very different style to what you're seeing previously, even from like Jordan previously. He's been away for a while, so he came back at the last show, and now he's here to sort of show that he can definitely hang not just at the level of a champ, but also on an international triple threat match.
I love it. Very very quickly on our our GrappleMax Openweight champion with Hotshot. We are now into year 2 of his championship reign, and in Singapore, like you mentioned, we have a lot of like stars coming up, a lot of people gunning for that top spot. How do you feel? Having essentially Hotshot as your top guy, how do you think his year 2 is going to pan out as opposed to in year 1 where he was establishing himself?
Are you asking me that as his inglorious mate or Booker?
in any approach, I'll be happy to hear both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I think with any face champion, right? I think the challenge is always how do you keep that babyface support, right? Or do you start to bring in a bit of heelish tendencies at some point, perhaps, or do you double down on being a face? There were some murmurs after the previous show I think it was Causeway Jam, where it was me, where I sort of like awarded the microphone to Ban Sechak instead of Hotshot. To close the show, because Ban was the one who saved us from to win the Causeway Cup against my PW. So people saying, oh, like could it be a situation here where there's sort of like like will Wilson get jealous over something? And we're not sure, right? I think at this point he's holding on to the belt. He's saying, hey, look, I'm the man, right? But now he's basically where like Big Dave was when he won the belt from Big Dave. Now he's the one people are coming for him. Right? And everyone says, actually, you know what, you're not really that good, right? You're the ace, but I can be more ace than you can be. Right. So now he has to decide, right? Do I want to hold my ground and keep being this like incredible babyface ace? or should I start to be a little bit more defensive? Should I maybe turn to maybe a slightly darker side? And also from a booker's perspective, what do the fans want? And
Yep.
again, like I don't really know. But that's why it's so fun, because we can sort of play and see where this goes.
Yep.
But I think most importantly for now, his next title match is set. So it's Hotshot Bansachak, who won the number one contendership match months ago. This is happening Pro Wrestling Festival July.
Agreed.
So it's locked in. Hotshot
Okay.
Bansachak for the Openweight Championship in July.
Yep. His run really parallels Cody Rhodes in the sense that, when he won his first title, like I remember the pop was one of the biggest pops I've heard in GrappleMax history, right?
Oh, massive.
When Hotshot won it. And of course, he had a great first year run. So it's going to be really, really interesting beyond that, how he can sustain the momentum, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So again, super fun. You will see some hints, perhaps, of where the story goes, even at Fight Club 5, through this triple threat match.
Okay.
Nice. We'll talk about Ban Sachang and Big Dave in just a bit. They have a match coming up, but we also need to talk about the last man standing match. Talk about gimmick matches, quote unquote, right? Stipulation matches. I mean,
Yeah.
Calvin
stipulations.
Lang. Is it Lang or Lang? Like, is it the Angmo Lang or
Lang.
the Chinese Lang? So Lang.
I feel he needs to have the Angmo Lang so that his Scottish friends can, can call him back.
How do you say Lang in a Scottish way?
Lang.
Lang.
What are you even doing?
Lang.
Calvin
I'm
Lang.
just following Foreign's lead.
Bro, I'm the worst in accents, bro.
What's going
Lang.
on?
We just became like Texan.
Yeah,
Lang.
We completely screwed this up.
All right.
All right.
So sorry,
Calvin Lang versus the hitman Julian Creed. Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Last man standing. And I mean, their history stretches all the way back to when they were together, when he was the intern, and then even Julian was sort of always picking on him, right? So there is a very long history. Have we come to the boiling point, as it were? That's why this is last man standing.
Yeah. And I think this really calls back to Julian's promo from, I think, about 4 months ago, right? And I think this is one of our most intricate stories we've built. And it really is the benefit of having as many shows as we have, where we can really do like nuanced storytelling versus like very, very broad like character changes. And I think this is a lot of fun because you can see over time why Calvin is the way he is now, right? He came back from Scotland. He saw a new way on pro wrestling that does not have to be like the Showtime Inc. way of like cheating to win all the time. But Julian's perspective is, hey, look, like everyone just left. Like Prabhu is injured. Like Showtime is away somewhere. Calvin flew to Scotland, and I'm the last man standing. Right? He literally said that in a promo, right? I'm the last man standing. Right. And now Calvin's back going, hey, like let's be bros again, right? Let's just be Showtime like how it used to be. Nothing should change. We're still on the same side, but could you wrestle a bit more like a good guy now? And Julian's like, okay, but why, right? Why should anything change just because you went there and came back, right? I'm still the one holding Showtime Inc. together for all these years. So I think what's great about this story is that even the fans are telling us that even they can't decide who they want to cheer for, right? We think that Calvin probably has the moral upper hand here because he's the one who's not cheating in matches. But those who've been following Julian, even before Showtime, they know he's one of our hardest workers. He's been doing this for so long. He is low key, I think, one of our most naturally talented technicians in the ring. Calvin brings a lot of intensity. He's in fantastic physical shape. He's got so much potential. But Jules has been quietly like holding his brand and his grounds like within the promotion and within Showtime for so long.
His theme song is perfect because he does remind me of The Miz a bit. So Hate Me Now is perfect for him.
Oh, it's fantastic, right? I think his overall his package is also there right now. So I think there's some people you can sort of feel like, okay, they are in that zone right now where this is very much their character. And I think Jules has sort of found what that character looks like. So again, this match, we thought because we always wanted this show to be a 3 stipulation show. That's why we planned it this way. And when we came down to these two, we thought, okay, like there really only is like one choice, and it had to be last man standing. We went through all the promos, we went through the whole story. We thought, okay, this is it, right? And the story tells itself. So this match we believe will resolve this rivalry between the two of them and open up stories for us to move on from this after that in very exciting new ways.
I mean, honestly, right, just looking at the two guys, knowing what they can do, having seen what they've done in the past as well, like whoever comes out on top you have to imagine rising championship contender, no? Like,
Yep.
Yep.
as I think I've frozen, by the way.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just
Look at
realized.
The
shocked
two of us were
face.
trying to figure out like which of
Oh,
us
what
is
happened to him?
frozen.
I was like, who's moving? Who's not moving?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'll
Is it
hold
just
You
the
young
guys
who's
talk
frozen?
about it, but I
Yeah,
fix
yeah.
this. Yeah.
We can
Yeah,
still hear
I'll-
you fine. It's just
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll hold the fort. So yeah,
Okay.
I think so it's so interesting, right? The story of Showtime Inc. kind of mirrors the bloodline for me personally,
Yeah,
because
a little bit.
I feel like that so much growth from the time we first saw essentially, right, Val kind of holding the fort. The whole gimmick and the whole
Yeah.
faction was built around his gimmick.
Yeah.
And then now that he's gone away for a very long time, I hope he's doing well. I haven't seen him so long.
Yeah, I think Val and also Props are both very busy sort of working on
Mm,
stuff outside. So I mean I think it'll be quite some time before we see them again.
Yeah.
But I think for now the focus really should be on Calvin and Julian.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is of course the point that I was I think was alluding towards. Like you've had the initial phase of Showtime Inc. being all about Val, being his heaters, right? And now that he's been away, we have seen the growth of a lot of the people that were so-called the undercuts in
Yeah.
his team, right? We had
Yeah.
Prabhu having a great rise before his injury, unfortunately. But he's I mean on the comeback trail. And
Yeah.
we've had people like Julian, who was always like for the forgotten man,
Yeah.
who has finally gotten the recognition from the fans, even though yes, he is the heel. But I think a lot of people see his frustration of him trying to keep things together.
Yeah.
And of course, the maturity of Kelvin when Kelvin first came in really was a quite NTU boy.
Yeah.
And to see his growth, like it has been amazing. So I think there has been a reward for longtime fans watching your content and watching the growth of and the fall of Showtime Inc. So I guess my long roundabout question for you is this the dissolution of Showtime Inc. in a way, because these are the final two active members standing right now.
The last man
Well,
standing, yeah.
Yeah.
After this match,
I think
there's only one.
well, I mean, again, it makes you think like what even is
Mm.
a brand, what's a faction, for
Mm.
example, right? And I think whoever wins this, like, I don't think it necessarily means that like the Showtime Inc. brand is done. I think it's really more okay now. Who wants to take ownership of it and see where they wanna run?
Okay.
So yeah, so I think the answer with a sort of roundabout. I think
Yeah.
again, stay tuned. It's probably there are ways to move forward. We're not too sure yet. But I think the fun thing about this again, right, was that for the two of them, even like this whole story was very organic. Like we didn't really have to think too hard about how to draw it out, because like you said, when Showtime and when Prabhu stepped away, it left this very natural story to tell. And I think we're very fortunate that the fans picked up on the storytelling nuance. And like, when Calvin came back, for example, from Scotland, we were very unsure if he would get a face response. Because when they last saw him, he was being this asshole and sort of being this very like entitled intern. And the crowd
Fight Club.
completely popped for him when he reappeared. So we realized, okay, the fans do follow the story, and they do follow the story both in terms of what we tell before the show, but also in terms of how we built up the moment where he comes back.
Yep.
So that's then the combination of how we've sort of trained the fans on our stories, and also how the performers improve things like their facials and how they act and body language. So I think even from here, we don't really know, right? It could go either way. Calvin could go over, Julian could go over, and both results open up very interesting potential storytelling from there. But what we know for sure is it'll definitely be a very emotional match. I think this is you can't fake this type of emotion where it's been told for so long. And I can tell you that the two of them are preparing super intently for this match. Yeah, it's our first ever last man standing, right? First ever for us, right? And even we're like, wow, this is tricky, right? Like on TV is easy, right? But for us, okay, how do we make it work?
Yeah.
Especially in a very unique like cinema hall venue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
No
that's
ring, Fight Club, mat context. How do we make it work? And I think this is part of the drama as well.
Yeah. Oh my god. I fingers crossed no damages in the cinema area.
Hey, don't
The
jinx me
professionals,
lah.
don't worry
Don't
about it.
jinx me. Don't jinx me.
Okay.
Got deposit that. They got deposit on that. So please.
Hotel
It will
deposit
be
also.
chaotic, but again, GrappleMax take on chaotic.
Okay.
Nice.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Talking about chaotic, this is the second of the three
Yeah.
stipulation matches. Ban
Yep.
Sachak, Big Dave, chairs match.
Yep, that's your segue right there.
Yeah,
Speaking
love
of
it.
very,
Perfect.
very
I
nice.
see it, I jump on it. So, okay,
Yep.
obviously it makes sense, right? Because the chair has sort of like been their thing for the longest time, going back all the way back.
To Broken
Yep.
Bat as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
the
the way to
Broken
Broken
Bat.
Bat.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's very interesting because like this time last year, like they were essentially one of like the biggest heel tandems in your company.
Yep.
We you know they did so well that they were like in our top 5, right, for our Singapore Wrestlers Top 20 as well. So how have you kind of like overseen essentially the dissolution of this team that was actually also makeshift in the beginning
Yeah.
and grew to be so well liked or well, he's a
yeah.
heel but well
Hated, yeah.
well
Well
hated,
hated.
yeah.
I think they were
Established.
incredibly over. What is it over? They were incredibly hated as a heel tag
Yeah,
team.
which was incredible for Bun
Yeah.
because Bun for the longest time we were talking
Right.
about him like
Yeah.
what's his personality and he developed that. So
Yeah.
now moving the story forward to today, what do you think you guys are trying to achieve with this particular rivalry?
Well, I think again, your first point about tag teams, being very makeshift when this one first started. I think I would say that most tag teams are in fact makeshift, right? Because you're not really sure, right? Like, would this particular concept work? And I think what worked for Broken Bat was that the story made a lot of sense. In that very ridiculous pro wrestling kind of common sense, right? But still, it made a lot of sense,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, this like very gaslighty Big Dave who wants to sort of convince this like boy like potential pure character, right, to turn to his side. And they both had motivations, right? Because for Big Dave, he had lost the open weight. He's trying to find ways to sort of stay in the main event scene. And then the tag team championships came up, right? And what better way than to find someone he could perhaps manipulate to his side?
Yeah.
Right. Because Big Dave, of anyone in Singapore, he knows how to win matches. Right. Whether it's as a face or as a heel, he's always got, and I know very well, right, what Big Dave can do. Right. So he is really equipped, but he thought, okay, can I find someone who I can take under my wing and make him into like a mini Big Dave. A mini
Right.
Dave, I guess.
Mini Big
right?
Dave. Yeah.
A mini
Big Dave Jr.
Right.
Mini Dave, yeah.
Bun, on the other hand, has the perspective of actually, but I'm such a pure, good guy character. But hey, if I were to take some of these shortcuts, like if I did hit Christian in the back with that chair shot how many months ago, could maybe some success come from that? And that took him all the way to the finals, right? Of making it happen. So I think he then found that, okay, there is a way to get there. But then he realized that I don't really need to keep being this cheating bad guy. And then he came back and it's pretty much like a face. Right. And when he came back at Causeway Jam to help us win the cup against MyPW, the pop for him was crazy.
Yeah.
Right. The whole place exploded when Van came out to save Hotshot. Right. So we knew we had something there where, okay, like we maybe have found like our next big face in Van Sachak. Right. But who would hate this concept? The guy who first brought him in to get to this level of main event awareness. Right. And Big Dave, who did take a break to sort of nurse some of his long-term wear and tear injuries, came back. And he goes, wow, I left and you took all the success I gave to you. And now you're just running and you're saying that I never needed this Big Dave all along, right? Where's your gratitude, right?
Yeah.
And then boom, chair shot in the back. And we think the story just writes itself, right? Two ex-tag team partners. And again, the great part about this is, again, both results mean something to both of them, right? Big Dave, if he wins, basically it's shut up. You are not the guy, right?
Yep.
You did need me around all the time. Barney wins, he's proven his point.
Yep.
Where Big Dave goes from there, again, is another storyline mystery for the next few months. So again, across the board, right? I think like every story we try and tell, if you want to really deep into our lore, will hopefully reward you in some way. And I think this is again going to be, and again, chairs match. I mean, like those who have known me for all these years, right? Like I'm scared of such stipulations because I don't know how far it's going to go, right? And I think Fight Club is one of the few concepts where we allow ourselves to be a little bit more crazy, a little bit more loose. Last year we had the 3-on-3 Showtime Inc. versus Inglorious match, and everything went nuts, right? Ramos flying off a ladder in a super low ceiling place. Prabhu fighting a ladder, Prabhu throwing stools. Like across the board, we try and go crazy. As long as it's presented in a way that is very much GrappleMax on GrappleMax brand. So same thing for this shares match. Like honestly, like I told the guys, like just don't tell me. Just go.
Go.
figure it
Don't
out,
tell
right?
me.
Go
I love
ham.
it.
Go ham.
Go ham.
Do it. Just
Let's
Let's
get
get
it
but
fun
done.
again,
later.
but it'll be fun. It'll be
Right.
a very fun match with very strong meanings behind the storytelling.
And okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, as we go through this, you know, if the last man standing match was the final match, I've been like, okay, yeah, that would be a great main event. And then you
Yeah.
talk about this Ban Sachak, Big Dave chairs match. If that was the main event, yeah, hell yeah, you know, I'm sure they're gonna go ham on each other. But it's not the main event. Because the main event is the first ever pirate plunder match for the GrappleMax Tag Team Championship match. So, okay, title match is the headliner, right? You got Aussie versus Ships Ahoy. What exactly is a pirate plunder match? I can
Well-
kind of guess, but you know, yes, please explain.
I will leave it to Ships to tell you.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's like if I ask you if before it happened,
Yeah.
what was the Bloodline Rules match?
Oh, wait. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Huh?
So we think wrestling fans have an idea of
Yeah.
perhaps what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
Again, I think telling you anything about it now would perhaps ruin the concept.
Mhm.
Fair enough,
But
fair
it definitely
enough,
would be.
yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It'll be very thematically on track for what we've
I-
done so far.
So
I can
I
imagine.
expect to see a pirate's chest. Damn it.
Well, well, Sarah has one, so I'm
Oh,
sure.
really?
Oh,
Wow.
Again, I did wait and see. Pirate plunder very much is a stipulation called for by Ships Ahoy.
Of course.
For those who caught the last show, that match ended in very unsatisfactory fashion, even to myself as a booker. Right? Like, how can we just do a self DQ to run away from this match? Right?
Yeah.
It frustrated the fans. It frustrated me. And we thought, okay, there has to be a rematch as soon as possible, right? And what better way than Fight Club?
Yeah.
But you see, so far since Ships won the belts, first of all, they won it by questionable means, right? They won it by
Sure.
assistance from the outside.
Yeah.
And then this time around, they DQ'd themselves. Okay. But again, because they are the champs, they have the right to make some demands on how they want to defend the belts. And Sarah and Chris are very assertive individuals.
Can I just
as you have
say?
seen. Yep.
Can I just say Sarah is an absolute delight in her current iteration? Like
Oh.
Both of them.
We've had
Yeah.
our beefs last year, but like I'm starting to get on board. I'm on the Ships
Wow.
Ahoy trade. They are
Okay.
We gotta clip
hilarious.
this out. Clip this out.
Yeah,
Lawrence
what-
on the Ships Ahoy train. We gotta clip
What
this
a
out.
turnaround, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Long-term storytelling.
she has won me over, and of course, Christian has always impressed me, and we knew it, right? Yeah, we knew it. If he
Yes.
turned heel, it would have been perfect. And
Yeah.
it has been proven. So yes.
Yeah. I think it's all in the timing, right? And I think if we didn't run them as face before that, the heel turn wouldn't also be as impactful.
Yes.
Agreed.
And I think then we'll be thinking, oh, but what if they were face? And I think we sort of tried both rounds and we found that this is such a amazing, like this is so much them, right? This really
Yes.
unlocks
Yes.
like them as very natural performers. And people
Yeah.
have been telling me from across the region, wow, how much they love the most recent Ships Ahoy promos. Which I think
Yeah.
is great because it's really getting the name out there that like there is
Yeah.
this team who is sort of taking these belts and making it their own.
Mm.
And I think this is why then when they requested, hey, we want to have a pirate plunder match.
Go
As
for
long
it.
as go for it, right? But there will be a result, right? So
Yeah.
so I'll tell you at least it's no DQ.
Mhm.
Okay.
There will be a result. There won't be a schmoz finish like the last show.
Agree.
There
That's
will
great.
be a result for sure. And it might be pirate themed at some point as we go along.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And don't forget, I did mention that there will be some cinematic elements along the way.
Mm.
We have actually so on this point, we actually worked with a stunt crew.
Oh.
So like I said to you guys, this is very much a concept show. So again, without giving anything away, we did work with a stunt crew to actually work with us on some of the more cinematic elements. So it is a full production. It's something which again Singaporeans have never seen in a wrestling show before. And I think when you guys see the behind the scenes, you're gonna love it so much. Like we
I'm
literally
excited.
spent,
Yes.
I think we
I-
were out till like 3 a.m. working on the shoot just a couple of days back.
Wow, I'm excited.
I'm like, did you guys rent a boat? Did you rent the Royal Albatross? You know, the big with the
I'm gonna
sails and
clip
everything?
that and come back to this 2
Oh.
weeks from now. Because
Oh, okay.
no,
okay.
wait. So I don't want to set like
Uh.
expectations, right? So we didn't rent a boat. Let me be clear
Okay.
about
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay.
Got budget, like limitations on
sure.
budget, right? Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah.
But we had some discussions. if you
Yes.
know, like if this gets bigger next year, you never know. If they want to sponsor us for a
Right.
future wrestling show on Royal Albatross, like
Mhm.
I don't see why not. We can
Yeah.
maybe do that someday.
That's why
Um,
I always say get all your gimmicks, like really make it so watertight that you can go to brands and say, hey, you want like a ship
Yeah.
team match?
Can.
Come, we
and we
got a
definitely
gimmick.
want ships to
Yeah.
be watertight for sure. So yeah, we can make that.
Yeah,
Tourism
for sure.
Australia for Aussie, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I expect them to roll in a sampan. I think that would be hilarious as well.
No,
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys mentioned because I think again this year is very much building on these elements. I think again all the characters we are seeing across the board are really coming into their own now,
Yep.
right? You can
Yep.
visualize,
Yes.
you can visualize what Aussie looks like. You can visualize
Yes.
Ships Ahoy on the Royal Albatross or whatever it is, right?
Mm.
At some point you're gonna visualize Sinkai with his taekwondo, whatever, right? And
Hey.
I think bit by bit you're gonna see like more and more opportunities for us to then put these characters in new situations, right? New partnerships, new brands. And I think in the long run, that's the goal, right? Going back to like my own dream from years ago, right? Like I told you guys way back how like in Japan, for example, like the wrestlers there are like just everyday celebrities, right? They are they appear at functions, they appear at like festivals, they're on train ads. And I think we're still very far from that here in Singapore. But we are hopefully slowly building those opportunities now where hey, let's put these people there because it just makes sense,
Yeah.
right? You have a pirate tag team, hey, they should be on Royal Albatross doing some stuff there, for example. So wait and
I love
see.
it.
But I think once you guys see the behind the scenes stuff that we worked on, like this is a much bigger project than we've ever done in terms of from a shoot perspective. And that will again tie into the action that you will see like in the ring as well.
I love
Can't
it.
wait, can't wait.
Can't
I know
wait.
this is completely out of left field, but like talking about ships and stuff, have you guys ever pitched like to hold a wrestling show on a cruise ship?
You're thinking of like Jericho Cruise.
Oh, like a
Jericho
Jericho,
cruise.
yeah, like a
Right?
Jericho cruise.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought you had that in mind when you first.
Oh no, I did
suggested. Oh, wow.
because you know I just went for a acro yoga retreat for the past
Okay.
like week, right? And
Yeah.
my instructors they actually were hired on one of those European cruises to do like classes within
Yoga.
the cruise. Yeah,
Oh, wild.
acro yoga.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. No, we thought about it. I mean, a lot of things are sort of sitting in the drawer lah to go and do. Again, cruise wrestling. We thought about it. The issue is the ring where it comes
Oh,
from. If it's our
yes.
ring, then we only have one. So how do
Oh,
we
yeah.
solve that problem?
Mhm.
But conceptually, it's not like super hard to visualize, right? Because there is already an existing like Jericho cruise.
Concept, yeah.
But I think the players here are so the Royal Caribbean Star, right? The Genting Star. So all these brands, like they definitely need to work with partners who are very established to
Yes.
then commit that amount of programming on, once they book us, that's it, right? Is they committed like maybe 3 days or 4 days, 3 nights.
Yeah.
And there's a wrestling ring on their deck.
Yeah.
Right. So that if this product sucks, they're like, what the heck did we just commit to? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think it's a great idea, which we have put it into our potentials in the far future. But I think this year is okay. Let's show that every venue, every partner we work with is an incredibly professional, safe performance. Then we can say, look, now it worked here, it worked in projector, it worked in this location. Why not a cruise, right? At some point.
There you
It's
go.
possible, but again, it takes a lot of building, and we think we're on the right track.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And the fun thing, I think, to wrap up the conversation is like, I just feel like all of us are so diverse in our connections
Yeah.
and in our resources.
Yeah.
There's definitely potential for us to do like crazy wild stuff with what we have and who we know.
Yeah.
And it's just about getting those people to buy in by seeing the show. So like once they see a show, they're like, hey, Pink Fest, we are sold. Let's do a show at Pink Fest, right?
Yeah.
Or like at
And
PA,
that's how Pink Fest happened actually. Right. So we can talk about that like briefly if you guys want. But I think just to wrap up Fight Club, right? So again, Fight Club is happening this Saturday.
Yes.
So premium seats are almost sold out. We still have
Nice.
some GA seats available. Sofa seats are completely sold out.
Mhm.
So it's happening this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Doors open 6:45. Tickets available at fightclub5.piatix.com. So get it fast.
Awesome.
Likely will sell out.
Yep, I
There
can't
you
wait. Can't wait.
Yes.
Let me
please
pull
come
out the
say hi.
poster right there. There you go.
There
Yeah.
you
There
go.
it
What a
is.
sick poster, right?
Shout
Yeah,
out,
it was
shout out to
nice.
Najwan.
It was very
Amazing.
busy this evening because of Lion City.
Yeah, they are playing in the finals right today.
Yeah,
So
in like 20 minutes actually. Yeah.
yeah, so right
Oh,
after
wow.
this, I'm switching on my TV on my.
Oh yeah, I should
There you
probably do
go,
that
there you
too. Yeah. Okay, so Fight Club 5.
Yeah.
See you guys there.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Wait.
Very quickly, yes,
Yeah.
Pink Fest.
Yeah,
Yes,
Pink Fest.
yes.
Yeah, is Pink Fest not part of the show, right? It's a different
We
it's
couldn't
on
announce it before because it was with
Yeah.
a partner, right? So we
Yeah.
couldn't just pop it in there, and we didn't want to just leave a placeholder.
Mhm.
But it will be. So there's a updated calendar coming up soon.
Okay.
It will still say GrappleMax show on the 21st June while we
Nice.
finalize the plans for that, but the date is fixed. So Pink
Mm.
Fest is happening 31st May and 1st June.
Mm.
It is a match show. It's happening New Baru School Hall. So
Oh.
you know the
Wow.
lo and behold the event space there.
Yeah.
So we are one of the central attractions in the school hall over Pink Fest weekend.
Wow. So back-to-back weeks of events essentially, right?
Yeah, and then after that, 2 weeks later, we have the 21st June GrappleMax show as well.
Wow.
So there's that, right? And then so that's what's happening. Pink Fest is going to be a lot of fun. Something I felt very strongly about for many years, where we thought we should find some way to work with the community.
Mm.
And we thought this year when they approached us, we thought it's a good time to do that, especially because we're so focused now on pro wrestling where everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
Right? We really want wrestling to be a place where anyone from any background can feel welcome in this community. Whether you're performing, whether you're an audience member, like everything should make you feel incredibly comfortable and welcome. Once you say, I want to become a pro wrestling fan, community member. And I think you guys have a similar view on pro wrestling as well.
Yep.
So when Pink Fest came along, we thought this makes so much sense because like they are obviously all about inclusivity, safe spaces, supportive environments. And we thought this is a great place to introduce people to pro wrestling. And also to hopefully get our fans to come along and support us at Pink Fest.
Yes.
And to really see like what this community is like as well in terms of how inclusive everything is. So very fun, very light couple of shows. So both will be about roughly an hour-ish on both days, 2 to 3 p.m. On both 31st May and 1st June. Admission is free. So please come by, come hang out with the GrappleMax crew. Very relaxed show. Extra bonus is it's being hosted by a drag queen
Wow. Okay.
called Denormous. So she's a huge,
Denormous.
fantastic name.
Denormous.
name.
Wow.
DEE Normous. So she's a huge wrestling fan.
Amazing.
So the
Yeah.
timing was fantastic. And I think you're gonna see perhaps some interaction at the show. Perhaps we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so not a
okay.
lot of time to make it happen, but we have some ideas for what could be a fun crossover and maybe the start of a few more crossovers in the coming years, perhaps.
Nice.
All right.
So very fun show. Before people ask me, yes, it is canon. It's
Ah.
always canon.
It's always canon. Okay.
I knew it
Yes.
was coming, right? It's canon. It's canon
Okay.
again insofar as they are still very much their characters.
Okay.
All right.
Results still matter, right? Wins and losses still matter towards how the bookers see the characters.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
But it is not. Well, it's going to be a very fun and very relaxed type of fun show.
Okay.
Extra bonus. So 3 p.m. after us will be the Proud Pet Parade,
Oh.
which
Pet-
sounds
pet
like
parade?
amazing.
Yeah.
Proud Pet Parade.
So are we
Okay,
talking like, people will be bringing their dogs
Saturday
and
is
cats?
dogs, Sunday is cats.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
And to be
okay.
honest, we are just as excited to catch that as
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
to do the show.
Yeah. All
Love
right.
it.
All right. So,
So
all the
please
pet lovers.
go
yeah.
check out. So check out pinkfest.sg. Check out Proud Pet Parade. I think it's also there. And of course, please also just check out GrappleMax at Pinkfest. It's the first time for us that we're super excited and we want to see everyone there.
There
Nice.
you go.
Nice.
Greg, thank you so much for spending your Sunday evening with us. I
No,
know you must be
likewise.
hungry right now. It's dinner time and all
It's okay.
that.
It's always nice to be on this for my annual State of the
State of the
Union
Union.
check-in.
yeah, you're like, State of
Yeah.
the Union address.
Yeah, that's right,
Annual checkup. Annual checkup.
Annual, wow, that sounds like
That sounds like some
health
proctology
issue.
thing. What? Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
man.
relax.
But those are good too. I'll happy take an annual checkup. So you
Oh,
should.
it's all good. Yeah,
Hopefully-
but
maybe
hopefully
not
still
with
healthy.
us. Yeah.
yeah.
I prefer
But
not
yes,
allowed. Don't know where
again,
fingers
thank you
are
so
doing.
much for spending the time with us, man. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, and
All
we
right,
shall
guys.
see you on Saturday for
Yes, see you both
Absolute
there.
Cinema.
Fight
It's gonna
Club
be great.
5.
All right, take care, guys.
There you go. Hey, if you are at the projector, please come and say hi to us this upcoming Saturday at Fight Club 5, GrappleMax's big event. Yeah, we'd love to, chat with you, talk shop, talk wrestling, that kind of stuff. But as always, if you haven't already, drop us a follow in the Discord. Come join the community, talk stuff about wrestling. Even when we are away, I'm there. I'm seeing all the comments and all the discussions on what is going on. Man, you guys love it. All the stuff you guys are sharing there, love it.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, please follow us. Even if you can't catch our shows live or if this is pre-recorded, you can always have the conversation going in our Discord and do support us on our Patreon, especially if you want to review and share your star ratings for the Singapore Wrestling Top 20 and all the local shows. If you want to buy a review, you don't have to be a member. You can just buy our review as well. Right.
Like a one-off sort of a thing, right?
Yep,
There
yep.
you go.
All
Okay, talking about support.
Yeah.
This all wouldn't be possible without our guy, Hasif. Hasif_captures, a sponsor for the podcast. He is a finance bro, fitness bro, F&B bro, entrepreneurship bro. Look, if you have a question about any of those things we just talked about, go and reach out and ask him lah. Have day with him, as it were. He would love to connect with you. Are you messaging him right now? Is that why you look so
No,
engrossed?
my Grab food just arrived and he's trying to ask for directions, bro. But you know what?
Alamak, okay. Well, I tell you what, he needs to reach out to Hasif to give him some directions as well in life. Okay?
Yes, for sure. But please do follow him because he's our guy. He's supporting the podcast and he's the reason why the lights are still on. Let's go.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions, especially when it comes to your financial planning and stuff like that, like that's his bread and butter, as it were, right? So drop him a follow first thing on Instagram and then reach out to him on DMs. Once again, it's HASIF_captures, Hasif_captures. Go follow him there. In the meantime, all right. Foreign needs to go get his food. I need to go bring the family out for some makan as well as we record this on a Sunday afternoon. So, it's great to be back. We'll see you guys soon. It's Mr. Young.
And it's Foreign in the building. Take care. See you Saturday. Hilarious.
Let's go.